So, sorry for the delay because as usual, I was working till morning 5 and I had to catch a flight back to Chennai to attend the function of 2.0, the movie, with Akshay Kumar and Rajnikant, then take a flight back here, get freshened up, and then get ready for this.
Well, you are always worth the wait, Mr. Ram.
Thank you, thank you.
We agree? Can we second that with a round of applause? Absolutely. I can't see anyone who's not clapping. Thank you for being here, and thank you for talking to us.
Yes,
And Krishna, congratulations. You've done an absolutely fantastic job with the book.
Thank you.
Yes?
I want to acknowledge Nasrin Muni Kabirji, who's written my other book, Spirit of a Dream, and even that book was beautiful. And so I told Krishna, you have competition.
Major inspiration, Muniji.
Another fantastic book, so which we again need to clap for. Ladies and gentlemen, that Mr. A.R. Rahman is a man of few words is a very universally known and very reluctantly accepted fact. In journalistic circles, much as we'd all love to meet, talk to, and write about this superbly talented man who has made us all so proud, from a journalist's point of view, interviewing A.R. Rahman is still considered a challenge. Will he speak? Will he not? Will he answer in monosyllables? And if he does, how will I flesh out my 600 words? I first met A.R. Rahman as a 21-year-old young journalist at a recording studio where Subhash Ghai was recording Tal. I reached there at about 9 a.m. and they had worked all night. And I was introduced to Mr. Rahman. And suddenly, a family friend turned up. Singer Sukhwinder was known to the family at that time. And in his true Punjabi style, he said, Rahman sir, ye hamare ghar ka bachcha hai, isse baat kijiye. The monosyllables I expected that day turned the 600-word copy into a 750-word copy. So ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to try and work that magic again and get Rahman sir to talk. And I hope it works. In case it doesn't, I'm going to enlist Krishna, who's done a 400-page book, tumbling out parts of A.R. Rahman's life that we really didn't know about. Mr. Rahman, I'm going to start with you. Being the supremely private person that you are, what made you accept the fact that you would authorize a biography?
I think my life keeps changing. When I started, I couldn't articulate my words. I couldn't articulate my sentences, or it couldn't keep up with my mind. So my mind was faster than my, intellect. So I thought speaking less is better and working more was better. And I think in music, before you could tell something, you can do with your fingers and your heart. And I believe that. And anyway, the people are not interested in listening to my words. They were more interested in my music, and that was convenient for me so far. But things have changed now. Because when you write a story, which I started writing when all these long travels led me to experience many things in life, see the other side of Earth, and study and see this world turning into something else. And which forced me to, the humanity inside me forced me to start writing characters. And also, instead of complaining about filmmakers I've worked with some amazing filmmakers, I'm very grateful to them, but I also felt that more could be done because of what I learned from the Western world in a way, in London West End or Broadway or in Hollywood. And so that led me to, why can't we do movies like this? Or can we have a character like this? And so, that will force me to challenge myself to produce something else, some other music. Whether they like it or not, I don't know. But so that led me to 99 Songs, the first movie.
No, that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the films because that's one part of your life we know such little about. And we look forward, of course, to the movie. But a biography means private parts of your life, which you have kept guarded and not spoken about. Coming out either through you or through people around you. How did you get into the comfort zone to say yes to those stories?
I mean, it is what it is, and people know my biography.
Yes.
It's no secret.
No.
And so they know for the past 26, 27 years.
Yes.
And I've been telling the story again and again.
Yes.
And I'm not bored with it because I know that different generations are going to listen to it.
Yes.
The generation which listen to that has
Yes.
changed. They're busy now.
Yes.
So the other generation, if
Yes.
they're interested, they could listen
Yes.
to it. So with that thought, I tell the story again with enthusiasm.
So just to give you a perspective of a reader, your stories are inspirational. and that is what's going to change the generation. Krishna, you knew this was going to be a task. You knew it was not going to be easy. You knew you would have to really dig into getting answers. What made you take up the challenge?
I think what we need to understand before everything else is Mr. Rahman's journey has been one of constant transformation. He has always been transforming himself, starting from jingles to movies, Tamil movies to Hindi movies, Hindi to international. We had Vande Mataram, we had Broadway. So many instances of jumping out of the comfort zone and going into completely unexpected things. The latest of these being movies. So I was fascinated because I think one of the biggest problems we as human beings face is the unwillingness to go out of our comfort zone. And here is a man who's at the top of his game each time and bounding into the unknown. I thought there was an inspirational story just waiting to happen over there. And of course, Mr. Rahman is, to quote many people I spoke to, a national treasure. So it's a huge responsibility to have on my hands. But I thought I wanted to do this because, as he said, there are many generations that have been and many generations to come that need the inspiration that you can find in his life. So taking all these things into account, I fired him a mail, I think out of the blue one day, saying that, you know, Rahman sir, your life has been about transformation each time. Why don't we analyze all your previous transformations based on this most recent transformation, becoming a movie maker? And I was not I wasn't expecting a reply, much less a positive one, but he said, love the idea, let's go ahead. And that's how it started.
Coming from my perspective, I always want to see more writers in India write our stories, and because we always get inspired by world culture, world literature and everything. We have great literature too in our own languages, regional languages. So Krishna had just finished that book, and he's the son of my friends, Tirlok and Sharda. And I'm grateful to them because they introduced me to Mani Ratnam. So that goes there. So there's great history in his heritage.
But for a 19-year-old, 23.
I know it doesn't make it much better.
Fantastic depth, right? And until this afternoon, before I came here and saw his photograph, I was going to call him Mr. Trilok because I really thought he was a senior gentleman who's written this story. So Rahman sir, you obviously got the right person, and fantastic job.
I was very worried because it's a double-edged sword.
Yes.
If it goes wrong, then
Either
both
it
of us
goes
will be,
the Snapchat way, or
justly so.
Yes.
And when I went to Penguin, Miss Manasi Subramaniam at Penguin and pitched this idea, she said that if you write it, we will take it. But I'm sure they were worried that halfway through I might decide to go party and not finish it, or worse still, they'd open it and they'd see.
We should ask Mansi, what did you think?
That's for another time.
Right. We'll get to that. But you know, what's most endearing is these little secrets about your life. Now, they're not secrets, but we just didn't know them. For instance, your penchant for how things need to be tidy. Does
That's recent.
untidiness make you angry?
No, I think I also evolved. My computer desktop, first of all, when I started using computer from '94. Or before that was different PCs. Now I switched to Mac. So when I worked on Vande Mataram, the Machadechalam album, I worked with a German programmer, and he was getting paid a lot of money, £1,000 a day. And the first 2 days, he just cleaned up my desktop. He didn't work, just cleaned up everything, organized everything. And third day, he said, I can't work on this.
Right.
I said, you've taken my money
Right.
and you just clean up my desktop, and then
Right.
you say, no, we can't work. I said,
Right.
I just give it a shot.
Yes.
He was worried that, he didn't know how to do it. I said,
Yes.
think
Yes.
about it.
Yes.
Don't feel. I won't judge you.
Yes.
Then, he came up with that sound of the drums. And
Right. Right.
so,
No, but there's an anecdote from your sister who says that as a boy, you told her how to clean the house, or that she was not doing a good job, and whether she'd do a good job after
no,
she got
actually,
married.
it was recent. She got confused. It was
Ah.
recent when I renovated my mom's house,
Uh-huh.
and then she had a room.
Yes.
So after 6 months, I went, saw a room. I said, what is this? What have you made?
Yes.
I spent a lot of passionate, in getting the color right and everything for my mom, and then you come and,
Message.
no, don't worry, that's how I live. I said, no, this is my mom's house, and you have to
Right.
keep it clean.
Ah. Right.
But I would like to add that when they're talking about, tidiness and lack of clutter, it's
Yes.
not just in a physical aspect.
Right.
Because even for art,
Yes.
especially the kind of spiritual art that Mr. Rahman has
Yes.
proved himself to
Yes.
produce,
Yes.
you need a mind which is very clear about
Right.
who you are.
Right.
So I think when we talk about equanimity and
Yes.
really a clean
Yes.
mind, it's
Yes.
also that.
No, that's great perspective. But we are just taking delight in knowing more about the person who we've adored for so long, who's not let us into these little secrets of his life. So that's what the book is providing us, and that's what's most beautiful. Krishna, you've written in the first part of your book about AR's anger. You say that you've compared it to his father's anger, and you've said that it's quiet. He doesn't shout when he's angry. Have you seen it firsthand?
Never.
You've never seen it firsthand.
Never. It's never. Again, as I'm saying, I don't
Those are the
think
secrets nobody knows.
We're making the secrets tumble out.
it's the anger that I think, as Mr. Bharat says later on in the book, it's the anger of any highly intelligent person who feels that, when everyone is not up to his level sometimes. So it's not the shouting, yelling, emotional anger.
Yes.
It's more just a momentary flash of irritation, which I think is human.
Anything to say?
Nothing. I think passionate people get angry. When angry in the sense to motivate, otherwise nothing happens, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. As long as nothing doesn't mean you're angry right now with the line of questioning. So, fun stuff. Your sisters say, give AR a gadget and he will learn everything about it in a very short amount of time. Does that mean you can tell this audience whether we should buy an iPhone S or whether we should get the Samsung 10?
I think she meant musical ones. Of
Right.
course, if you look at the phone thing, I try to learn the most complex, synthesizer with algorithms and
Yes.
FM synthesis and,
Yes. Yes.
resynthesis and everything.
Yes.
But it took me a year to learn the iPhone because my brain refused to learn
Right.
more. I
Right.
said, keep that. I'll use them.
But we also know you enjoy playing with drones, and you crashed your first one.
I crashed 5.
You've crashed
Not
5.
not on anybody's head, but
Excellent. But you enjoy photography.
it's a recent thing. I think when I was young, around 13, 14, my mom bought me a camera, and with the film, and I used to get fascinated going into these dark rooms,
Yes.
developing rooms,
Yes.
and then that I think stayed.
Yes.
So when I did my world tour in 2010,
Yes.
the Jaiho tour, I went to New York BNH,
Right.
and my cinematographer was there, Anup
Yes.
Sugnan, and we both bought the same camera, 5D.
Yes.
I didn't know anything about it, and then again, it was a very slow learning curve.
Yes.
But now I know where to keep the camera to make my face look nice.
Fantastic.
People get annoyed with that.
Fantastic. Look forward to seeing your photographs someday.
Follow him on Instagram. Superb picture.
Excellent. That's a tip. We all do. Mr. Rahman, let's talk about your films. It's a part we don't know too much about. It's a new facet of your life. You've taken this jump when everything couldn't have been going better in music. Tell us a little bit about each of the 3 films.
2? 3?
One Heart Lamask.
One Heart. One Heart was more, so we were touring and then we said, okay, let's film this and became a movie called One Heart.
Okay.
And so I was also building my studio YM. I was building a sound stage and then we bought cameras, and so just because, back in Hollywood, the past 6 years from 2010 to 2009, 2015, I would go for a lot of workshops, and I had a lot of time to kill because Hollywood movies you can't work on anything else. So I would finish those movies in 3 months, but I'll have time for other things.
Right.
So I was trying to be true to the contract.
Okay.
Don't work on anything else. So, and so that led to 99 songs, search for the director, then learning all the things. So I'm not like a fool when they talk about green screen or compositing or editing or anything. I know a bit of it. So
Better your knowledge.
yeah, just so that the storytelling and what I want in the end and makes sense rather than somebody telling no, this is not possible or
Right.
this can't be done.
Right.
So I can name drop something and say okay, something.
Right. So it's about bettering your knowledge. Then AR brought in VR, the virtual reality film, Le Masque, which we want to see, and we are waiting for it to finally be able to see it. Yeah.
It actually is a casual conversation. My wife, amazing wife, she loves perfumes. And one day we were just chatting and said, you're producing movies, why don't you do something on perfume? She said, and
Yes.
it's a good idea.
Yes.
And so we don't have anything to lose. We'll build a theater with all this perfume stuff, and then we'll put it on the screenplay. And
Yes.
I asked some of my friends, and they said it's possible.
Yes.
But the conversation ended because the government changed or something
Okay.
in America.
Okay. Right.
And so I came back, and then same friend Shankar, who's heads the company called Odyssey Headphones.
Yes.
So he gave me a VR, the first VR device,
Right.
which I was not interested. I was not going to put this thing on my head.
Right.
But then when I checked out what it did emotionally, the pictures and the way we felt, which was really, really real,
Yes.
then I was thinking I was on a cruise with
Yes.
the amazing Paul Allen, who just passed away in the east, Brunei and Malaysia and Vietnam.
Right.
So in the middle of the sea, where they had this amazing team of people
Yes.
and scientists and
Yes.
Stevie Wonder, Quincy
Yes.
Jones, Tarantino, all
Yes.
in the,
Yes.
we were all traveling together.
Yes.
In the middle of the sea, I got this idea. I was like, why don't we? Oh, I sent an email to Grace Boyle
Okay. Yes.
and Danny Boyle's daughter, and she
Yes.
said she's working on, a company called Feelies, where they have olfactory and everything on VR.
Okay.
So they said, I have the story.
Yes.
Can we convert this instead of building a theater
Yes.
into VR? She said,
Yes.
yeah, we can do that.
Yes.
We'll work with lab,
Yes.
and so everything fell into place. Then the idea, Intel heard the idea, said we want to support this.
Yes.
So it had its own
Yes.
nurturing. A lot of
Yes.
people suddenly jumping into it. I want to be in it. I want to be in it.
Yes.
And so me not being in any of I had this screenplay writer from CalArts called Gurachi,
Okay.
and he wrote the screenplay, and then we test shot. So all this
Yes.
without knowing anything.
Right. Well, that's fantastic.
Everything happened,
That's
and we
absolutely
shot
fantastic.
40-minute
Yes.
whole story
Yes.
with dummies, like
Yes.
non-actors.
And it's something you're happy with. You're happy.
And then we
Yes.
played this to people, and then this, the way they reacted made us feel like, okay, now let's do the real thing.
Right.
And so we auditioned
Yes.
around 700 people
Right. Wow.
all over the world, and then we finally found. So we also auditioned Marina, and she didn't have the passport, unfortunately. Then we got us. So two of them. Then
Yes.
we selected the French actress Nora
Yes.
Arnesidar.
Right.
So after filming,
Yes.
we went to the heart of filmmaking, Italy,
Yes.
where people are passionate about lenses,
Yes.
and so they said, "What are you doing?"
Yes.
I said, "It's a VR movie,"
Yes.
and they were like, "We know what to do."
Yes.
And then everything they would say, we'll say the opposite thing, because this is not film, this is VR.
Yes.
The lights have to be different,
Yes.
and so it was a beautiful, exchange.
Yes.
And they finally made me do, like a workshop in the Rome Film University about this one, and
Right.
all that happened.
Right. Right.
And I didn't know that in VR it takes so much time for post-production. So we finished it in 2016, and we're almost at the 95% of
Okay.
the post-production.
Okay.
And so this movie, we can ask question, where will it release? All those
Yes.
questions are,
Yes.
we need to create a whole new way of, installing
Viewing.
this.
Yes.
And it's not like, unfortunately, this is not a group experience like
Yes.
how movies are.
Yes.
But I think it's a very personal experience,
Right.
and day by day, people are becoming more sympathetic towards the project because they're all, I mean, all the people who have seen the prelude, the trailer, have been asking for when is it going to release. This is one project we want. Because some of the people have already washed their hands off VR.
Yes, there are
Because
people.
most of the people who thought that, okay, it's just a passing phase. But once you see our project, they feel like this should be the first one which releases. And, you know, so we're lucky that we made the right decisions and we're almost there.
Krishna, don't you think this man sitting in between us is sometimes a little more younger and more cutting edge than we think we can be?
Oh, for sure, no doubt about it. I think it's an example of how much we miss out on sometimes because we are so caught up in our own lives. You have a gentleman here who is interested in so many things. Like that was one of the first things Imtiaz Ali sir noted when I talked to him, saying that he's a man who is interested in a million things. I think that's what keeps him sharp. That's what keeps him at the forefront of his game. I think that's what keeps him.
Yes and no, I ignore a lot of things in life. But if I feel that there's a new path opening and nobody's taking that, then I have to learn many things to take that path. I might fail, I might not reach, but then at least I'm trying. And this happened like that. So when people, the biggest question is it going to make money? And if I thought about that, buying my first computer in '84, or going into movies, or going to West End, nothing would have happened. Or signing on Slumdog Millionaire. These were all completely opposite to what commercial things were.
Absolutely.
But the learning experience is priceless. And that's the thing. I think it's not about money. It's not about, but what you experience. Sometimes I sit with a fakir and listen to his stories, and I feel I've read 100 books worth of things which taught me by these few words. And so these are the things which Google doesn't tell you.
Absolutely.
But it's a heart-to-heart conversation. It's a soul-to-soul conversation. Rubaru.
You know, one of the quotes that Krishna has put of yours in the book, he said, "You've got to have balls. You've got to have balls to do things." Krishna?
Explicit.
Okay, I think let's just say that, as Mr. Rahman himself says, he's always been about the road less taken. He's always been about exploring the paths that no one has either bothered to or has been brave enough to go. And I think probably that one phrase sums it up. You need to think like that, otherwise you're not going to. And another thing, like after the book got over, I went and gave him the first copy, and he looked at me and he's like, "You're persistent, aren't you?" I was like, I know.
Why? Because I was in Boston. And my kids had taken a little summer course, and I was also doing a score inside the suite. I was babysitting and doing a score in the Boston suite in Berkeley, and then I also did a little course about augmented reality in MIT. All these things were happening, and our man was like, "It has to go next week." The editor was asking, "It's going to release. Otherwise, it's going to release without your."
Penguin, please note.
So I said, "Okay, now I've done all this. In the night, let me come on Skype." And my time, 10 o'clock was his time. What? 12 o'clock or something. So he would come on Skype and then read the thing. I said, "Let's not put this. It'll be controversial. Let's keep it." Neutral. Certain things we took it out. He was too honest about it. I said, "No, respect."
So this is a small chat we had just before.
We had just before.
Krishna, what do you have to say?
I think so. The entire final round of vetting happened over Skype, which was quite an interesting experience because
he was like, "Okay, sir, I'll take it out. Just let me release the book."
Not just that. I was, to quote sir, being persistent already. I did not want to be even more persistent and say that, no, we have to have this kind of thing. But I think, but it was an interesting experience because I was sitting and I was actually like reading out portions like sir winning the Oscar. I was reading that out to him. And I remember when I was a kid and I was watching that, and it was a surreal moment to actually read that out to him while he's looking at me was quite something. And So that's how the final process happened. I read out the entire thing, and he was remarkably alert. I mean, after you hear just text being read and read like that, you can just lose hold of what's happening. But he was just on it, and he knew and all his criticisms, I think, were creative criticisms.
Right.
I have to beg to differ there, because he always said that you can write this better. He was like, he was always more of a literary guide than, he was not like, don't put this. He was like, you can put this better.
Right.
So I think that positivity was quite amazing.
I was pretty moved when the first 3 chapters.
Yes.
I was really moved. I was sold because I heard from other people. I read them read, and they were
Yes.
giving me suggestions.
Yes.
But then when I heard, it's like, this is happening.
Yes.
This guy's on
Yes.
the right track. But then let's make it better.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes less said is better than
Yes.
blah, blah, blah. So we just, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I tend to talk a lot, so I can.
No, it's good. You're right.
Yes, no, but well, both of you have obviously got some connect, and you'll have collaborated into a fantastic book. So that's something that that is going to continue getting reviews. This little talk about having guts and doing things that are unusual goes also hand in hand with something you say, that you don't do anything for fame necessarily. It is not about getting.
I had fame when I was 13, so
Yes. Yes.
it doesn't matter for me.
Yes.
And
What if a film or an experiment you tried doesn't work? Or
many
doesn't
times it not
succeed?
worked. Many
Yes.
times it not worked.
Yes.
It's fine.
How do you take that? Do you take that in stride?
Uh,
Do you move on to the next thing immediately?
No, because that teaches you to be better next time.
Yes. Yes.
You're jumping, and then
Yes.
you get stronger, then you jump better.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And because there are many factors,
Yes.
and these force you to learn.
Yes.
And before Roja, I did an album called Set Me Free with a lady called Shubha.
Yes.
And many things went wrong in this. My fault. And technically.
Yes.
And then because of that whole process of retrying, doing Roja was a piece of cake. Because I tried everything and knew exactly nobody could. And people who came in to sing said, oh, it's not going to work. Because you're trying, it's a very small recorder, the quality won't match.
Right.
Film, you need this quality, and they were all.
Right.
I said, okay. And then I did what I was doing.
Right. So it's about learning from things that don't
Yeah,
work.
confidence also. In
Round-
same way with the VR thing.
Right.
We had not done the previous.
Yes.
I had a lot of showdowns actually. And the main artists were like rebelling one day before, saying, what is the script? I don't understand. This is not going to work.
Right.
Then we have to go back and say, this is going to work because we tried
Yes.
and tested it.
Yes.
And it is for VR. It is not for normal. So
Right.
the screenplay has to be in this way.
Right.
And after we started, they were cool.
Right.
And,
Right.
and yeah.
Well, fantastic. We look forward to that. But one thing we're all going to see is 99 Songs, the romantic musical, a fairy tale. And I believe it has a little piece of your heart. Tell us about that.
When you look at international movies, almost every movie is about a loser. And a poet or a musician always has to be a loser. He's kicked out of his house, and his wife runs away, or he gets into drugs, and finally there's a funeral, and or he's begging on the streets. So that's a very perverted way of looking at a musician. I felt like musicians are now, kind of ruling. And there's also the opposite of, you see Rolling Stones, and I met those people. I said, why can't we, there's always this question about, my son is a musician. Okay, yeah, but what job does he have? He's a musician. No, music is fine. It's like a hobby, right? No, that's his profession. Oh, okay. So they start judging a family in the social context. And also met a couple of families where they're doctors, and met a person who came from the funeral of the son because he wanted to be in music, and they said no, and he committed suicide. So it's all about happiness. It's all about, nobody has a permanent life on this earth, and whether you can make other people happy through your art, or you can, take them to transport them through your art, your work. So that was my thing. So why don't we do, with this perspective, a story, and have all the, eye candy in it, and challenge myself for the music and many things. And so I got the perfect kind of director who was, willing to listen to, and also very stern on his stand, and perfect producers, ideal. And now Reliance has bought the movie, which is great. So they saw 30 minutes of it and then straight taking this movie. So that's great encouragement for us.
We see it how soon?
Next year.
Fantastic. So looking forward to that. Now getting to certain sensitive things. Krishna, you've written about a fairly sensitive topic in the first few pages of the book, first 20 pages, the conversion of embracing Islam by AR and his family. How difficult was it for you to understand the emotion and then translate it to a book so
Actually,
sensitive?
I understood completely.
You did?
I understood it completely because I think all of us in our own ways, sometimes we go through things in life and we think we know that the way out is to start with a clean slate. It is just realizing that your previous identity is something that probably isn't your purpose. To find your purpose, that isn't the identity that you're supposed to have. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. But it's just that to set you on the path that you finally are supposed to take, that's not the identity you need.
Yes.
So I think it can be a guru that we find, a school of thought that we are harboring. It could be an institution we're working in. It could be the kind of profession that we've taken up. It could be anything, but everything that we think defines us. But there is something missing. There's something that's not giving us that peace. It's not giving us that way forward to where we're supposed to go.
Sure.
So at some point, you just have to realize that you need to change yourself.
Yes.
You need to embrace
Yes.
a new way of life.
AR, I know this is personal, but there's
Clark Kent and Superman.
there's a part of Islam that you follow that is very middle of the road. It's very tolerant. There's an incident in the book where Rajiv Menon and you go out in the middle of the night looking for food. And you're looking for halal food, he's looking for beer with his food, right? And you probably find it at the same restaurant. In today's times, how important is it not to impose one's belief and one's faith onto another?
You can't impose anything. Whether it's, you can't ask your son or daughter to say, you should not take history, it's boring.
Absolutely.
You should take, economics, or
Yes.
you should take science, or
Yes.
you can't, because it's fine. As long as, it's education is about involvement, mental involvement.
Yes.
And it's a personal choice.
Yes.
And same way I felt like when I come out,
Yes.
What is internal comes out as my character.
Yes.
And it changes the way I speak, and it refines me.
Yes.
And I don't have to tell about that. I don't tell people what chords I use in my music. I use a major 7th, flattened 5th. That's why my music sounds great.
Right.
The music
Yes.
is good
Yes.
or bad.
Yes.
So that's what I think. Same way, I think personality-wise,
Yes.
my spiritual beliefs
Yes.
and which makes my character is my personal thing.
Yes.
And I always feel like a lot of people come to me, have told me, hey AR, if I convert to Islam, will I be successful too?
Yeah.
I'm ready. I keep quiet. Trick question.
Yes, absolutely.
And so it's not about converting to Islam or not. It's whether you're finding the spot whether it presses the button in you.
Yes.
And so for me, the spiritual teachers, the Sufi teachers,
Yes.
taught me and my mom
Yes.
things which are very, very special.
Yes.
And so in many faiths are there.
Yes.
So this is the faith which we took,
Yes.
and we
Yes.
stand by it.
This
And-
is yes.
And
Please
it's
go.
beneficial. Whatever we do,
Yes.
it saved me from many
Yes.
falls, I would say, because of between every prayer there is,
Yes.
the afternoon prayer, so I can't do this mischief.
Yes.
So the evening prayer is going to come, so still I can't do this.
Yes.
So it covers you,
Yes.
and the sense of peace comes in when early morning.
Yes.
People in other faiths do the same
Yes.
thing, and
Yes.
they are peaceful too.
Yes.
For me, this
Yes.
works.
Well, that's beautiful. Very, very beautifully said. You mentioned in passing about your mother. She's played a pivotal role in your life. She's not only given you life, your name, your mission in life. She is your moral compass, like Krishna says. A little bit about her.
So my mom is, I've told many times that one basic decision she did was, you have to do music because your father did music, and you are very opposite to other families. And she, I think, stood by that, and this is what you should do, because she felt that this is going to work for me. And if I think about, that's one of the major decisions of my life. She had doubted that and said, no, you should do a job, you should study and become an accountant or something, I would have been finished. Nothing wrong with accountants, they're very important. But
Krishna, why am I getting the feeling that behind all the quiet, there is a strong opinion maker in A.R. Rahman? There was Sufism you mentioned in the book, where you said spirituality is leaning towards Sufism. You want to tell us a little more about that?
I think, see, there is a line that I very consciously put in the book, which is that Mr. Rahman, for him, spirituality is not something which is but one aspect of his life. It's something that seeps into every aspect of his life, starting from his work to how he interacts with people to everything. So what I would like to say is, I don't think there's anything about being an opinion maker or anything like that. But what I think is there is, as I said, there is very clear thought. There is very, very clear thought. And more often than not, because of the kind of alignment that he is blessed with, and not many people are blessed with, more often than not, it is the right thought. Sometimes sometimes I've discussed a few personal issues with him sometimes, and he'll just say one line, which is, it's a strong opinion, but I'll just be like, oh my God, why did I not look at it this way? Why did I not think of it this way? How did I miss this? So that definitely comes from Sufism, from spirituality, which is a very, very, very beautiful way of looking at the world.
Right.
And one of my biggest intentions was, which is why I've dedicated, like I've, put an entire phase of the book which deals with that, because I think if a lot more people do think this way, if a lot of they incorporate it into their lives, I think this world would be a much, much better place. Yes. So,
yes. I think there's a lot to learn, and thank you very, very much. It's been absolutely fantastic. There's one request that I'm going to make on behalf of this audience, Mr. Rahman. If we are going to have you on stage with us, can we have you hum something? This is not the best weather in Mumbai, but we would, whatever you want. It'll just make our evening. It's a celebratory time. Krishna's done a fantastic job.
It's there in the book that he doesn't like doing it.
So that's an exception I'm going to make. and Mr. ARM. Ladies and gentlemen, little more encouragement for me, please. Thank you.
dum dara mast dara dum dara mast dara dum dum o hamdam bin tere kya jeena.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been, I don't know how much fun for you, but complete honor for me. Krishna, you're a very, very lucky guy. You have a tall order to fill up with your next book now. Yes, but Mr. Rahman, thank you very, very much for this chat. We have a small vote of thanks, which Vinu Nair, Chief Commercial Officer, Trent Limited, to give a little vote of thanks. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me stop. He's seen you, so he's gonna come.
Yeah, yeah. नहीं, कैमरा उल्टा ही फंक्शन है।